President Trump announcing a deal between U.S. Steel and Japan's Nippon Steel on Friday. Spoke to reporters over the long weekend about that proposal.
It's an investment and it's a partial ownership, but it'll be controlled by the USA.
Okay, joining us right now is Republican Senator Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania. He was an advocate for trying to get this deal done. It's great to see you this morning, Senator. Help us understand what this partnership, as the president described it, means, and this idea that it'll be owned by the USA.
Hey, good morning. How are you, Andrew? Yeah, I'm excited about it. I had the chance with several colleagues to talk to President Trump on Thursday, and he made that announcement on Friday. And I think this is a great opportunity for the United States, but also for Pennsylvania in particular. So the structure of the deal is the U.S. Nippon has agreed to invest $14 billion into new investment into U.S. Steel. That's going to be $2.4 billion in at least a minimum in the Mon Valley, right outside of Pittsburgh. And then the control structure is going to be somewhat unique. It's a national security agreement that'll be signed with the U.S. government. It'll be a U.S. CEO, a U.S. majority board, and then there'll be a golden share, which will essentially require U.S. government approval of a number of the board members. And that'll allow the United States to ensure production levels aren't cut and things like that. And also allow the investment to come to the Mon Valley. In the case of Pennsylvania, this saves about 10,000 jobs, 4,000 steel workers and the surrounding jobs. But beyond that, it adds another 10,000 jobs in the building trades to build a new arc furnace that's part of the plan. So this is being extremely well received in Pennsylvania. The workers, the steel workers there are wildly excited about it. And I think it's going to be a great thing for my state.
Senator, in terms of this structure, do you think that we, meaning the American public, should think of this as a model for future transactions where foreign owners are buying things in the U.S.? And how should we think about that in the context of our allies? Because what it sounds like with this golden share business that you're describing, ultimately we do have control over these things, and it effectively looks like it might make them a minority shareholder of sorts.
Well, I mean, first of all, stepping back, foreign direct investment is a huge asset for our economy. In Pennsylvania alone, we have $20 billion of foreign direct investment and 330,000 jobs that result from that. So I'm in the Middle East right now. I was in the United Arab Emirates. I'm now in Israel. I'm encouraging foreign direct investment. That's great for our economy. And in this particular case, it's such a sensitive industry. The domestic steel industry is so important. And we've really, due to horrible trade agreements and lots of bad policy, we've lost a lot of our capability domestically. So this structure allows us to get the investment, to get the next generation technology from Nippon, which is a world leader, but also protect our U.S. national security interests. I don't think this is a model for every transaction, but I think it could be a model for transactions that really affect our national security, but where it's going to be great for our economic growth. And I think this is great for our national security, great for our economic security. And frankly, for me, it's great for the workers, the working families in Pennsylvania who really, President Trump made a bunch of promises to them, and so did I. These are the same guys that came to the rallies in Latrobe and Pittsburgh, and I think they're pretty excited about what this means for their future.
Senator, no question, this sounds like a pretty great deal for America. It sounds like a great deal for the workers there, the investment coming in. But does Nippon know exactly what they agreed to? Because it sounds like they're investing $14+ billion, and they don't really have any say as to what happens with the company.
Well, they'll have certainly members of the board, and this will be part of their overall corporate structure. But I think the benefit of this deal is there's just a ton of alignment. They wanted an opportunity to get access to the U.S. market. This allowed them to do so and get the economic benefit of that, but with and also the investment for the United States. But it also allowed them to benefit from the policies President Trump's put in place with the steel tariffs. So I think they looked at this structure. I think they know what they're getting into. They've negotiated it. It was their proposal. And I think they saw it as a great strategic move for them. Right. And one that's great for the United States. It's one of those win-win situations, I think, for both sides.
Senator, I think the one question it does raise, though, is when American companies go seeking investments in other countries and in companies in other countries that, for whatever reason, those countries deem to be a special category, or not even a special category, something that they just want to protect as a national champion. And by the way, there are countries that already do that. Whether you think that there's going to be this kind of a model might ultimately apply, and how that changes either positively or negatively the investment opportunity dynamic for U.S. companies to make investments internationally. It may very well be, by the way, that right now the president would just prefer, frankly, that U.S. companies make their investments in the U.S. anyway. So maybe this is a moot point.
Well, but the case you mentioned, I mean, imagine how many countries in the world, and it's part of the problem, it's part of what President Trump is trying to correct. How many countries in the world allow us to make this kind of foreign direct investment? Very difficult to do in Europe, impossible to do in China, South Korea, Japan. No, most of these countries have much, much more protection on the ability of U.S. Companies to acquire. And in many ways, what we're doing with the Nippon-U.S. steel deal is actually much more consistent with some of the challenges we see in accessing other markets. And as I said, I don't think this structure is necessary or going to be appropriate for all foreign direct investment. But in a sensitive area like this, and one which we've lost such a leadership position, this was a great way to have essentially have our cake and eat it too. Get that foreign direct investment, get the benefit of that leadership and that world-class technology and understanding from Nippon, but also have the ability to make sure it protects American national security and American economic interest.
Senator, when you get back to the U.S., you're going to have a big, beautiful bill on your hands to try to reconcile with the House. There are a number of your colleagues in the Senate that are already making a lot of noise about not approving what the House has done at all. And I'm curious where you land right now.
Well, first of all, if I'd have been on your show 60 days ago, and I just said, listen, here's where we're going to be at the end of May. It's going to have been voted out of the House. We're going to be moving into the Senate. It would have had the parameters that the House bill had. I think, a lot of people would have said that's highly unlikely. So first of all, I want to take my hat off to Mike Johnson and the House for getting the bill through and getting to the Senate something that we can really work with. And I think it'll be improved in the Senate. And but I'm optimistic. I don't think failure is an option here. And I think if you step back and ask what President Trump wanted in that bill, it was the extension of the 2017 tax cuts, which happened. It was the plussing up of defense because we've really underinvested and we have huge national security challenges at the moment. It was funding the border, and then it was targeting, and we saw that the essence of this through the DOGE process, targeting waste, fraud, and abuse. And that's what this bill does. I think we'll be able to make it better, hopefully get even more fiscal reduction, more fiscal restraint. But I think this is a good starting point, and I'm optimistic that
what does the fiscal restraint piece look like? Because obviously that's what a number of your colleagues are talking about. That's also apparently what the bond market seems to be trying to say. But again, even if you guys decide that's what you want to do, it's going to you're going to have to negotiate with the folks in the House, and they didn't want to do that.
Well, listen, this is all going to be a negotiation. We have slim majorities in both the House and the Senate, but I think the primary area where I hear the most controversy is around cuts in Medicaid. And listen, I think this is pretty clear that there is an out of control spending. In that program, it's added $250 billion in annual spending. And I think our message on this is very clear, and the opportunity is very clear, which is we want to ensure that the vulnerable people for whom this program was designed are protected and those benefits are protected. But for able-bodied working men without dependents or for illegal immigrants, we want to eliminate that expense. That's not what the program was designed for. And there's areas across our government where that's the case, but that's the most promising one. The GAO, this, Andrew, the Government Accountability Office, nonpartisan, estimates $500 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse. There's probably more we can do there.